it's Dale here. I just thought I'd say that I've realised that last week's was my 52nd little Inspiration Monday. So this is the start of a new year. It's amazing how fast the time's gone. And I had so much discussion this week about the embellishing machine, people who want to buy them, people who want to sell them. And so I know that they're out there, they're just not really available. But I've also had a lot of interest in the first course I ever ran, which was Embellish, Stitch and Enrich. And it was a series, it was a live workshop for quite a long time. A lot of people enrolled in it, and I hope they got lots of things out of it. So we've kept it running as a PDF. So I think there's about 8 lessons, and I thought I'd just show you some of the things that I did way back when. So for instance, I used some felt and I tried out all my threads on it to see how they would go on the embellisher just by running it up and down and embellishing things into the surface. You can see where it's come through, so it might be that you end up liking very much the other side rather than what you've done there. And then I did a lot of things like, this is the very first thing I ever did on it. I got wool fibres and meshed them together, nothing else. And I used some other wool fabric that I've had. Wool, of course, is wonderful, and it's dry needle felting. And then I stitched it up. It was just a fun piece that I made. And I moved on into all sorts of things. So this was way back when I started a little book, and just to try things out. So I used the things I was talking about last week. There's some scrim there, various wools and things like that, but I did use hand-dyed wool as well, but I've put it onto a felt background just to show you some of the things. So playing is so important. And here I stitched with a nylon-y sort of fabric that thread that I had, a knitting yarn, and that works in well. So look in your stash and see what you've got. I've mashed most of these up to other things at different times to see what happens. And then I've got another one here where I've used sheer fabrics and papers, fibrous papers, and put them on to see how they go, how they layer on top of each other. Sometimes you can work them from one side or the other, or both. And this is a fabulous netting that I've picked up somewhere, probably at Spotlight, and how well that works. And you've got the shapes, and I had put down shapes of threads, yarns and things underneath. And that's the other side of another one that I've got there. Really just mucking around, and that's the back, which is very similar to the front. I've just used different colours. Some things linker on better than others do, but it's really, you find out what suits you, and there you go for it. And then I have done a lot of things like use wool and make, just using the wool fibres with some scrim. And you can see that, like I was talking about before, with the little texture that comes under that when you work from the back. And I've cut out flower shapes. I think this was it's a die actually, so I managed to get it through the die machine. But then you're putting on the back, put some fibres down, wool fibres down, and it's a little bit of a rainbow. And when they come through, you'll see what's here. Now you can hand stitch and then work it, or work it and then hand stitch. But sometimes if you hand stitch back in, it just blends it back into. So you want to look for colours that you've got and things that you like to do. So another little one here, putting sari ribbon. Sari ribbon works absolutely exquisitely, of course, and with the rough edges and things to put it down. And I'll show you this here, which is a large piece that I made, and I cut those flowers out from felt and wool and bits and pieces. And I've also used polyester chiffon on the top and flakes and so on, burnt it with the heat gun so they've slightly textured, put a little thing on. And here I've plaited up sari ribbon, popped it down so it just makes a nice feature, and different sorts of sari ribbon onto that background there. And then further on, the other sorts of things I've done in my course, you can have a look in here. You can see the sorts of things you get in the printout, things that I've been talking about now, little tags, some hand stitching suggestions, and then different surfaces. Obviously, I can't talk about all these now. There's the little flower that you can use, and using foil and flakes and all sorts. Just heaps of ideas. A challenge at the end of each one, weaving, I've added to my notes and things like that, but making special things, and just really through like lesson 4 is about creating cloth and a bit of knitting, because everyone likes to do a bit of knitting, different textures, so on, and go through so much stuff. Lesson 5, bonding and burning and layers, and new table napkins, little paper napkins and all sorts of things that you can use. And then at the end we've made a little patchwork Persian rug sort of situation, and that's the same sort of thing but in a slightly bigger way. So I hope it's given you some ideas, and if you want to extend your embellishing skills, I do think that my course is actually not a bad one at all, and it's only $22 for the downloads. So see you again next time, week 54. Amazing.